Welcome, everyone, and thanks for stopping by today. My name is David Moeller, and I handle partner marketing and content marketing at Intellistack. And joining me today is a very special guest who really needs no introduction, but I will give her one anyway. Lindy Thompson, head of marketing and go-to-market operations at Coalescence Cloud, a partner of Intellistack, who we love working with. We were just together in Denver and decided to have this really fun fireside chat today. Lindy, thanks for being here. And tell me, what are we talking about today?
Hey Dave, I'm so glad to be here. Good to see you again. It's been a long time since last week. Um, I am excited to talk about data readiness in this era of AI that we're all kind of whispering and not whispering about these days. So I'll just kind of kick us off here and explain a little bit what I'm thinking, and then maybe we can jump into some questions.
Please
Um,
do.
cool. So in today's digital economy, data is no longer really just a record of what has been, right? We've used it that way a lot. We do something, record it, and stick it on the shelf. Now it's the fuel that powers everything, right? It's kind of the lifeblood that powers innovation and ultimately process automation, which we're all really interested in right now. Think real-time forecasting, for instance, right? And of course, AI adoption. And yet, we're finding that most organizations we talk to face what we're calling at Coalescence Cloud the data gap.
Mhm.
They're collecting information. We're all always collecting information. And they're struggling to transform it into actual actionable insights, which is what we need. So to help bridge this gap, we at Coalescence Cloud created what we're calling the data maturity or data readiness maturity model. We created this model earlier this year, and we've been using it with our clients since. So what it is, it's a framework that helps organizations assess where they are in their data journey currently and the steps that they need to take to kind of progress that maturity level in order to see an ROI on things like AI adoption. So by combining this model with managed services, which is what we do at Coalescence Cloud, of course, and then innovations from partners like you guys at Intellistack, organizations can accelerate their path to AI readiness while building trust in their data as a strategic asset, the strategic asset that it should be.
Perfect. So I've heard a lot there that I want to dig in a little deeper. I mean, AI right now is obviously like the topic du jour, right? People hear it. Some people think it's kind of a scary word still. They're thinking Terminator 2, Judgment Day, Skynet has become self-aware, Mission
Totally.
Impossible just ripped off two AI films with the entity. I'm hoping that after talking or listening to us today, people will be like at least slightly more comfortable. So let's talk more about the data readiness maturity model.
Sure.
I've got a good sense of what it is. Talk about why it's needed, and
Yeah.
we're going to be able to use those insights to help businesses, chase better outcomes.
Yeah, perfect. Good question. I'm going to start with kind of explaining what it is at a high level, right? And so the
Okay.
maturity model is 5 levels of maturity. We're calling these initial, developing, established, advanced, and optimized. Okay. And each level is highlighting characteristics, requirements, and outcomes of an organization's data process and practice. Okay, so many organizations we find this is where it's needed, right? Many organizations we're finding that we're talking to are getting stuck in these early maturity levels, think 1 to 3. So initial, developing, established. And maybe what we can do, Dave, is like put a link in this video thing so that people can have access to the actual maturity model so they can read a little bit more about what each level is.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But like organizations get stuck in these early stages. And so what they're doing is they're collecting data without integration or governance. And so, like I said earlier, it's like we collect all this information and then we stick it in a little black box on a shelf and never do anything with it again. And we might repeat it and we might get a bunch of redundancy in that. And it just gets really messy and heavy. And nobody ever really wants to touch it. Nobody really trusts to use it for decision making. So I like to say that we've been talking about cleaning up data for decades. We have, like everybody talks about like, oh, clean your data. And the fact that we've talked about it for so long and ignored it because it hasn't really been all that necessary means that when it comes up today, you're almost hearing like womp 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 womp, right? Like no, it kind of means nothing right now. Um, the problem is it counts. Right now it counts. And those of us who are kind of ingrained and entrenched in it, we're trying to get this very unsexy message across that we need to find it. We need to find your data. We need to clean it up. And we need to it's an ongoing governance process, right? It's not just a one and done. It's something that needs to be treated carefully for the long haul if we want these automation capabilities to actually work. So the model helps leaders identify these gaps and so that they can take actionable steps to improve that data quality and decide on governance practices to ensure adoption across the entire organization. And look, it bears repeating, okay? It's needed now more than ever. It really is. AI success depends on trusted, well-managed data, period. That's it. Like people can kind of dance around that subject all they want. It's a fact that we need to pay attention to our data. And without readiness, AI initiatives fail or stall out. And we're seeing that in the news, especially in our B2B clients that we serve, right? It's happening. People are dropping these initiatives and projects because there's just no return.
Right. Lindy, you hit us with the Charlie Brown adult speak. Did not have that on my bingo card for today. Very, very solid point. But I think a lot of our viewers at home probably feel that way when they're hearing these things coming. It's just noise, right?
Yeah,
So
totally.
like, okay, no one wants to be a Luddite, right? You talked about we see a lot of people, they're in zones 1 through 3. Obviously,
Mhm.
you want to get to optimized, but how does moving up these maturity levels change an organization's capabilities?
Yeah. Good. That's a really good question. That's an important question. So let's start with this. I'm going to go high level on what it looks like to move through these levels, and then let's talk about that a little bit. So level one is what we call initial. Moving to level two, what you're doing is you're moving from ad hoc collection to structured governance and consistent processes. Simple as that. And I will tell you what, when it comes to that happening across an organization holistically, we find that most companies struggle to answer that question in a positive way, right? So then, of course, from level two, from developing, jumping up to level three, that's integration across those departments. Now you have a process in place. Now you have a governance that works for your company in your industry. Now we need to integrate that data across all departments. I want everybody to be able to see the same thing, right? It's no longer siloed. There's no disparate little islands of information floating around. So analytics at this point begin to drive decision making, right? We talk to a lot of people that say, yeah. We're data driven when it comes to decision making. And then they talk a lot about not trusting the data. And the fact of the matter is, even companies that are data driven in their decision making often still incorporate way too much intuition. Not that intuition is bad. I'm not going to say that. I'm definitely a human performance minded type person. That said, a lot of that's happening because we don't truly trust the data that we're actioning off of at this point, between levels two and three. I believe that the biggest jump to make is between level three and four. Okay, that's kind of established to advance. That's where data starts to become that strategic asset that I've been talking about. This is where advanced analytics and machine learning enter the picture. Okay, so now our data, we have that solid foundation. It's visible across the company. We're making decisions from it, and now it's strong enough, and it's clean enough, and it's trustworthy enough to train models. Okay, so now we can start to automate key processes of our business and augment our workforce. That's that jump from three to four. And the companies that are in that area that are kind of making that jump and really get comfortable in level four, the jump from 4 to 5 then becomes refinement, continuous refinement, and improvement on innovation. Okay, so advanced to optimize becomes that continuous improvement, and then the agility that it provides and the leadership that AI can actually bring to innovation. Um, So, look, each step along the way builds confidence, trust, and value continually, right? Every time there's movement here, that's the goal across the organization. So, we're transforming data from operational cost, right? And we're kind of viewing it like that right now because it is kind of a pain in the butt. But that becomes then the strategic growth lever that all of a sudden you can pull it when you need it. And you can stay ahead of the curve a little bit more when you're operating in that manner. So I want to make a quick note about an observation that we made during the research we did for this market research study that we did. We found that within an organization, there are commonly business units or departments that seem to be or believe that they are more mature than other departments in their company. Okay, think like, well, sales has real-time automated forecasting, or IT's good with their data. They're making all their decisions off of the data, but finance can't see any of it, right? Or the executive suite trusts that it's going on. They're not making decisions off of it. So one of the things that we're finding the problem there is that this acknowledgement and behavior further decreases visibility, accessibility, and accountability across the entire organization. So this is your classic siloed, disparate operational model, right? That actually hinders growth. It doesn't improve efficiency, improve direction towards profitability or better profit margins. So we're challenging company when we use this model, we're challenging companies to look at their business holistically. I don't really care that IT is badass at using their data and training models, right? Because if everybody else can't use the same data they are, it doesn't actually advance the company and it doesn't actually help with adoption of so that we can trust the AI, trust the data to run the AI for key business processes. We'll never see an ROI without it, right? And that AI is no longer an investment, it's a brick that's pulling us down. So it's a matter of looking at the business holistically when we're thinking about this model, and answering these questions about how ready are we as a business? How ready are we as an integrated unit to use the data in a way that promotes growth and efficiency?
Sure. Yeah, you point out an interesting paradox there at the early levels, right? Like when you want to be data driven, but you don't trust your data, obviously you're setting yourself up for failure. It's funny, like when we talk about this pyramid, I can see like a metaphor for Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Yeah,
You get to level 5, you have attained like self-actualization.
that's
But
right.
I like how you mentioned that like if you can just get to level 4, level 5 is an easy journey of just constantly refining. And I think it's going to play into my next question, right?
Mm.
So what is the role of like a managed service partner that played in this journey, right? Like so Coalescence, you
Mhm.
guys commissioned this study, you want to help the customers, reach level 4, reach level 5. What is your
Mhm.
role in all of it?
Yeah, love that question. Thank you for that one. Many
Little layup for
organizations.
you, right?
So many organizations lack in-house expertise, period. This is a new frontier, right? This is kind of a gold rush right now. And we're all kind of clawing at what we can understand to kind of get the next foothold and handhold to keep moving forward. And so often organizations lack in-house experience or bandwidth. Bandwidth is a huge thing right now, right? To build these capabilities alone, to be able to impact their data in a way that is going to be beneficial in the long run, in the right way, but also in like it's just such a large project. They're cumbersome projects. Okay, and it's also becoming increasingly common for larger companies to develop their own data science teams. That's a thing as well. It's expensive. That is not accessible. That is not realistic for a lot of smaller or mid-size, even some of the smaller enterprises, right? Don't really want to take on that full-time headcount, or multiple full-time headcounts to make sure these projects not only go off without a hitch, but are continuously monitored and improved on a daily basis. So managed services providers or MSPs come in and help with things like data discovery and consolidation. I mentioned like we got to find it, right? And so one of the things that we find that our clients struggle with the most, a lot of people do, is this notion of unstructured data. What's hiding in your emails? What's hiding in the conversation notes that Gemini took from your last sales call? What's hiding in your Slack messages, right? All of that stuff is data. It's unstructured, and most folks look at it and go, how the heck are we going to use that? There's no way to put that into a spreadsheet. How is that going to train a model, right? Managed services providers can come in and help take that unstructured data and create structure, right? So it can be used. So it's a matter of finding it as well as cleaning it. And so, of course, governance and compliance frameworks, right? A managed services provider has a ton of experience. It's what we do. And so we can pull in best practices from your industry or from other industries to make sure that you're adopting frameworks that work well the first time, right? Do it right the first time. Training and adoption support, of course, that's a huge thing, right? How sticky is this? How well is your team going to adopt it? Data literacy is a thing that a lot of people struggle with, and managed services providers can come in and act as kind of enablement consultants to make sure your entire team, all of your teams, have some data literacy training and feel more comfortable using the data in a way that can help make decisions, automate processes, and then, of course, bring on AI capabilities as well in the future. And then, of course, look, we do implementations of platforms and tools all the time. It's kind of our bread and butter. And so that's always there. But we can also consult on tech stacks and say, look, it might be good for you to bring in this tool or that platform and help you integrate it into what you already have and make sure that your data plays nicely with it as well. So it's important to understand that MSPs provide ongoing management. This isn't, AI readiness, data readiness is not a set it and forget it kind of thing. It's not one project, it's an ongoing process. And you can partner with a managed services provider that can help you continue to monitor that stuff and keep it up. Partnering with an MSP also gives you access to a larger pool of skill sets, right? It's not just about hiring one headcount. All of a sudden, now you have access to that partner's entire skill set lineup. And so that can be really, really helpful for folks as well. Partnerships ensure organizations reduce risk, right? That's huge. We can step in and help you identify risk points and reduce those and get on top of those. We accelerate adoption. Change management's a big deal when it comes to tech, right? It's even bigger deal when it comes to things like data literacy and AI readiness. And then, of course, maximizing ROI. Like I said earlier, that's been a problem with AI. And it's not AI capabilities that are the issue. It is the data that is the issue. It's how we store it, where it is, how clean it is, how ready it is to manage, to train and manage these models. And so we got to look at your data as an investment. And that's what it is. And a managed service provider going to come in there and be the insurance for your investment.
Definitely. Yeah, no, that's good stuff. And you talk about something as basic as not being able to find your data,
Yeah.
or not being able to know what to do with it. And I will echo, a lot of companies can't afford to bring on a whole data science team.
Yeah.
If you and I were data scientists, Lindy, we'd be having this conversation on a beach in Tahiti, right? So,
Yes, we would. Where
so
did we go wrong, Dave?
where did we go wrong, right? Yeah, no, the MSPs can make a huge impact, and we at Intellistack love working with folks like yourselves because you really are delivering the intelligence and experience of everyone on your team has these years of different deployments and different use cases, and it can really help specifically for someone that's in one of these earlier levels on the model.
Yeah,
It can help them hold their hand and really accelerate the time to value. I mean, I think
totally.
it would be fair to state that when a company brings on a Coalescence, you can kind of help speed them through this process that might take them months, if not years, to do on their own.
That's a really good point. That's a really good point. Look, we bring a lot of experience and best practices to the table. Our company in particular, our consulting company, um, takes great pride and care in taking our time to understand your business. And we can then quickly go ahead and apply the things we've learned from many, many, many other projects to make sure that your time to value is as accelerated as possible. That's a big deal.
Right. Because the worst thing is when you spend 100 grand on a new piece of software and then no one knows how to use it or set it up, right? So if you're going to get your money's worth, you need to make sure you're squeezing it for all it's worth.
Like I said, using a partner like us, using a partner like a managed services provider is like insurance for your investment. It really is because it does, you're right, it becomes shelfware very quickly. And then all of a sudden you've just flushed that 100 grand down the toilet. And we don't want that to happen.
Absolutely not.
Okay, hey, can I shoot a question over to you?
Please do.
Okay. Maybe this is kind of a setup to our next discussion potentially
Sure.
as well. What's new at Intellistack that can help our clients, advance their data readiness maturity?
Well, you teed it up perfectly earlier. There's a lot of people out there that don't trust their data, they can't find their data. And
Mhm.
if they do have it all sorted, they can't find a way for their data sources to talk to one another, right? So we recently released a product called Intellistack Streamline that is a no-code data fabric that will include data cataloging, data classification. So essentially, to the layperson, yeah, think about disparate data sources.
Mhm.
Let's say you're in healthcare, you've got your EHR, your Salesforce, your SharePoint. Those servers, those data sources, they don't really talk to one another.
Right.
And if they do, there's no write back. So it's a real pain. So, you think of like a large healthcare system where they've got seven, eight, nine sources of data. You're a poor intake nurse and you're trying to figure out, I know I have this information somewhere, but I need this information to go over here. I want to write it back on the record so I don't have to look for this again. And yeah, that's what we are bringing to the market. And I think it helps a lot of the pain points you brought up, right?
Completely.
At a very base level, we want people to trust their data. And when you have a platform that's horizontal and covers lots of different data sources, we're thinking that we can, not only accelerate your time to value, but help these companies progress in their maturity journey. And we're really excited about it, and we've partnered with Coalescence on it. And you guys have been training and enabling and are experts on this. So there are a lot of different verticals that we think we can help out, but it all comes down to making businesses as efficient as possible, right? Like I
Mm.
think back to COVID, and there were a lot of companies that just, overdosed on point solutions, right? Oh,
Yeah.
we're in a
Oh, big
remote
time.
world right now. We need
Yeah.
every piece of SaaS software we can find. It all became shelfware. So our main value prop is, take this this horizontal platform. We'll build nodes onto it to enable you to do lots of things. But at its base, it's a data fabric that connects your data and gives you the confidence that you're going to have clean data that can talk to one another, that you can put into workflow and make your life substantially easier. And
Oh,
it's funny you ask about our next conversation because I believe, Lindy, we're actually going to be having a fireside chat not dissimilar to this at Dreamforce in a few days.
we are.
So come by our booth 308, see Miss Lindy live in the flesh. I'll be there. We'll have I believe Paul, your CEO,
Yep.
Zach, our head of partnerships, and
Yeah.
Jordan. They're going to get into some nitty gritty, and we'll
We
actually
can,
walk people through in kind of like a demonstrable way, like how they can achieve value from not only a
we will
horizontal
double click
platform.
into this stuff for
Yeah,
sure.
we will
Yeah.
dig into, again, I think there's a lot of people watching this right now, Lindy, that are saying, "Oh no, I am at best on level two, possibly level one. How can I leverage the tools available to me, leverage the partner providers available to me to really get my company where it needs to be? Because things are changing at an exponential rate right now,
They
and
are.
folks don't want to be left behind."
Right. I think that's the big fear. I think that we're going to get a lot of interesting questions answered at Dreamforce next week. both from our fireside chat. I hope people can join us, but also, just from a lot of the learnings that are going to be happening that week in general. And so, Dave, remind us of the booth number again. Where are we meeting and when?
308
Okay,
Wednesday at 2 p.m.
2 p.m.
There we
Got it.
go. Just come hang out with Lindy and Dave, and then we can all head to Benson Boone or Metallica together.
Perfect.
Perfect. What a day, right?
Love it. That'll be
Awesome.
fun. Well, hey, look, Dave, this was great. I'm really excited about this. I know I said this to you last week. I've said this to you before. Coalescence is just so stoked to be partnering with Intellistack right now because what you guys are doing, it just speaks our language so well, and it really does complement and help our clients figure out a way to feel more comfortable and trust their data in a way that can advance their company and create efficiency and of course profitability, which is what we're all chasing. So I thanks for having me today. This has been a great conversation.
Thanks for being here too, Lindy. Yes, we come see Lindy and Dave at Dreamforce. We'll make you more profitable. Whether you need to crank out a few more beds in a hospital and push patient through, or really get your FinServe humming, we're the people to do it for you. So thanks so much, Lindy. This was a lot of fun. I hope we get to do more of these in the future, and I will see you in San Francisco.
See you in a couple weeks, buddy.
All right, see you, Lindy. Thanks.
Bye.